Guys, welcome back to another edition of the Mastery Podcast. I'm delighted to I've just been told, meet for the second time, but for the first time on the podcast, and a guest that I've been asked to bring on many times. And I'm delighted to have Christian Chapman on the podcast today. Welcome, Christian.
Thanks for having me.
Absolute pleasure. Now, are you from, you're Birmingham way?
Yeah.
Whereabouts?
Slap bang in the centre.
Oh, right. You're central. You're town.
You know, Lichfield, sort of Coalfield.
Yeah.
I lived there for 26, 27 years.
Wow. Well, I would say my early days working in property before I came into the fitness industry, I was living in Handsworth Wood, and I moved over to Wolverhampton, but I spent a lot of time in Birmingham and know it very well. And really, I had a great time learning. So Birmingham kind of got a very special, played a special role in my journey. But we're on the Mastery Podcast. You're a coach that in the industry has got a great reputation, and a lot of people speak very highly of you. You do incredible work with people, and I want to unpack that today with our guests. I want to understand that. Christian, the whole purpose of this podcast is to bring on coaches that have developed a skill and a craft and become successful and built a reputation off the back of it. So to benefit everybody on this podcast, we're going to talk about your coaching. We're going to get into money. We're going to get into everything that business can bring. But I'm just very interested to know, for the listener, how did you get into coaching?
So I used to be really overweight. I was like nearly 300 pounds, and I didn't go to the gym, put it that way. So I wish I was 300 pounds now, but I'm not, unfortunately. Hugely out of shape. And when I'm the kind of person, if I get into something, I just have to go absolutely mental. Like, I've just got to do it the best way possible. And I lost like 11 stone in the space of like less than a year. Ended up doing like a photo shoot and stuff like that. And this was when like Instagram was really firing, and like people were building stuff off the back of Instagram.
Yeah.
And I remember I had quite a large following back then anyway because of cars. Granted, I lost a lot of that following because I just started posting half naked photos of myself in the gym. But it was where I documented it all. And when people see something that's interesting, they want to know how you've done it.
Mm-hmm.
And I just started helping people for free for years. Didn't charge people. Never saw it as like a business. I mean, this is what, like 8 years ago, probably.
What was the profession? What was the profession that you were doing?
At the time, I was in hospitality.
Okay.
So I used to run bars, restaurants, nightclubs, hotels, every kind of thing you can think of. And to be fair, that's why I was overweight, because you're working stupid hours, you're eating at 3 o'clock in the morning, and it's normally a pizza with a beer.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So started helping loads of people for free. And then I remember actually being on, I think it must have been about 7 years ago, 7 years ago. I was on AJ Morris's podcast.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh, would you ever, want to do it as a job?" Like, no, everyone's doing it. I don't want to do that, all that sort of stuff. And then once I just got more and more people asking, I thought, you know what, I can start charging for this. And I'd got into sales at this point, and I was selling cars.
Okay.
And I'm not like a typical salesman at all. I'm just brutally honest. You like this car, you want it or you don't want it, just let me know. I'm not like a hard push selling machine or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was doing all this on the side, and I got to probably like 25, 30 clients. And I decided it was the year of COVID happening, so 2020.
Yeah.
And it was the start of that. And it was in January. I remember writing down in my notes on my phone what I was going to do that year to make that a full-time job, because I just didn't want to do what I was doing. Mm-hmm. And it was getting busier, and social media was getting busier, and I was going on more podcasts, and just I was better in my physique all the time and doing photo shoots and stuff like that. And I wrote down like a plan. It was hardly a plan, but it was just like, I want to get to 50 clients before I leave. Mm-hmm. Because if I'm going to do so, I'm not a massive risk taker. I'm quite cautious. And if I'm going to do so, I need to be 120% sure it's going to work, which you can't guarantee that, but luckily it did work. So wrote down a list, and then COVID happened in March, and I thought, fuck, I'm going to lose everything here. And I think in the first week, I lost 1 client and gained 11. So I was like straight up to like 40 clients. And then I was working. Well, I wasn't working, obviously, because of COVID. And I was just at home on my laptop, started doing YouTube, got busier and busier and busier. And by the time that they asked me to go back in, I had 85 clients. So I was like, I'm not coming back in.
Mm-hmm.
And never went back.
Wow. Incredible. That's a complete turnaround. I'm interested to, you talked about working in hospitality and everything, gaining a lot of weight, like to the point that you were, obviously pretty heavy.
Yeah.
Apart from working those types of hours, what about you? Because I've coached a lot of people over the years, and weight is something that we can control.
Mm-hmm.
Was it something that you didn't see as an importance? Was it something that you just lost the love of? Like, was there something that I have the utmost of respect to people that lose the amount of weight that you've lost, you did lose, but just unpacking that, like, to just stop one day and say, right, things have got to change. Like, A, how did you do it? And B, what do you actually think that was going on that got you to 300 pounds?
I've always had issues with like relationship with food from like a very young age.
Yeah.
I was always like chubby kid at school. And like I said at the start, when I'm going to go and do something, I'm going to full send it. And when I was like 15, 16, I was like severely underweight after losing loads of weight. And then when I got into like working full time and stuff and left school, I just went completely the other way. And I'd always been on and off with the gym, and I was always a bigger guy anyway. Even when I was a bit smaller, I was always like broad shouldered, a bit wide. And I like that. And I just, when the weight was going on, I just didn't see it as an issue. I'd always in my life relied on my personality anyway to get me anywhere. And I didn't really care about it until I was in bars, like properly, when you're walking around in a three-piece suit and you're fucking popping out of it. And when you're throwing people out of a club with the doorman and the first thing they say is you're a fat bastard or whatever, I just got sick of being called a fat bastard. So I just decided to do something about it.
I think a lot of people get to the point where they literally just, it's either a trauma or a feeling or just something. We have those clients that you try and help them as much as you possibly can, and then one day they just come in and say, right, let's go.
Yeah.
And that was your moment. You'd hit rock bottom in what you didn't like hearing.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, from a coaching perspective, you obviously were on your own. Then, as I understand it, you merged and began the Physique Collective. How did that journey uncover?
Yeah, so there was four of us that started Physique Collective. So I started as coached by Christian, and it since the start. And then I was being coached by Joe Jeffrey at the time, and we'd become really close friends. And I've become close friends with a couple of his other clients. And we'd been telling Joe, because Joe's knowledge is just, it's on the spectrum knowledge. Do you know what I mean? It's just ridiculous. And he was putting it all out for free. I mean, like, you could probably make something out of this. And he's like, don't want to do it on my own. And him and Gareth at the time came up with an idea. They then came to me and said, do you want to be involved? And I was just like, yeah, I think this is great. Now, I'm quite a selfish person. Well, not quite a selfish person. I am a selfish person. I do consider it a good trait. So when I'm working alongside people, I find it quite difficult. But because it was friends and we're all mates, it was a lot easier. And we were building something that we wanted to do. And that's another thing with me. I don't do anything that I don't want to do. If you're going to tell me we've got to go and do this and I don't want to do it, I ain't going. I only want to do things I want to do. And again, that comes down to being a bit selfish. But we really wanted to build something and kind of make a change in the industry. And it worked. It's still going today. My problem stemmed from exactly from the start when I had to, and this sounds pathetic, but I had to change my Instagram name. And I was no longer coached by Christian. And I can remember that day that I had to change it. And it actually upset me, because it was like, that's, something that I built up on my own.
Yeah.
And, luckily I kept the Instagram name on a separate profile so no one could have it. Wow. So there's no spaces, there's no numbers, nothing. It's just coached by Christian. Because I thought, one day I might need that again. I don't know. And we were doing it I think I was with him for 2 years. And it had got to a point for me where I wanted to do some of my own things, and I felt like there was a bit of conflict behind it. Okay. It's like, I want to do my own podcast. Well, why don't you do a Physique Collective podcast? Which I completely get, and I understand that. But with me and anyone that knows me, I'm my own thing. I'm just different, and I want to do my own stuff. And not that I felt like it was holding me back, but I just thought I could progress more if I was just solo. And I still have a great relationship with all three of the lads, and we still talk every single week. I'm still in the Physique Collective group chat, hold tight. And I went on my own, I think it was in February, and it was best thing I've ever done.
Really?
Yeah, because it's just gone absolutely fucking mental since. I mean, it was already mental I was already busy, but this year has just been like, I don't even know what the fuck is going on. I don't know how I ended up here.
So with that, let me ask you, how important do you think being your personal brand is for a coach on the come up?
Yeah, right. I was having a consult with someone the other day who's a coach looking to grow a business and all sort of stuff. There's 10 million fucking coaches just in the UK at the moment. They're everywhere. And at the end of the day, we all do the same thing technically. We're getting people in shape, we're improving mindsets, whatever. We all do the same thing. So why the fuck is someone going to come to you over someone else? And I can tell you how, no one is coming to me for what I look like because my physique ain't all that. Okay. They are coming to me because I'm Christian Chapman. That's it. That is the only reason. And it was that from the start, and it is still that now. Granted, now obviously have the backup of results for 6 years. But the first, I always say, if you're going to work with someone, you've got to make sure you like them. How do you know if you're going to like someone? Well, they put their personality out there. And I am my own thing, and I'm, not everyone's going to like me. That's absolutely fine. I can't coach everyone, luckily. But the relationship that I have with my clients is just completely different to what I've ever seen from anyone. And that's just because I am my own person and my own brand, and I have my own personality, and I build good relationships. And I think it's the most important thing when you're starting out, because the only reason you're different to anyone else is because of you as a person. We're all doing the same thing.
A great friend of mine that you'll know, Chris Bailey. I remember one day he just said to me, your vibe attracts your tribe. And one of the most important things that you've just said there is, you got to know that. You got to know who you are. You've got to, people are overcomplicating the presentation of themselves and forgetting that what people just need to see is themselves.
Yeah. And I used to really struggle with that because I've always known that I'm a bit different, but I didn't want to put it out there because people think, oh, he's fucking weird or whatever. I just couldn't give a fuck. I just don't care.
And a lot of people try to be something that they think that social media want to see. And as a result of that, end up taking their identity away from themselves. And there is someone out there from a relationship perspective for us all, and from a business perspective, different people are going to work with me and different people are going to work with you, And I think that is very, very evident in what you're presenting and how you're putting yourself across. From I talked about that personal branding perspective, trying to be you. When you said, I'm a bit different, what was it that gave you that, okay, I'm just going to be happy to be me? There must have been a part where you were like, this crossroads that a lot of coaches have where they're like, I just need to be me, but I can't be. What was it in you that just said, no, I'm going to let social media see all warts and all?
I think it was kind of like a slow moving trend of I was just being a bit more like myself, just little parts at a time. And every time I was being a bit more myself, I was getting good positive reaction from it. So I was like, I'm just going to keep fucking doing that then.
Feeding the feed, essentially. You were putting stuff out there, listening to feedback. You were doing a little bit at a time. And then this is a great thing for me to ask you, actually. Confidence then versus confidence now, being patient that it will come. For those coaches now that are listening to this, I think they're expecting today to be fully confident with what they're doing. From your perspective, I'm sure that's something that's grown in terms of what you're presenting, who you are, and your certainty in the brand.
Yeah, and I've said this on a few podcasts. I think this year is the only year where I've said to myself, you know what, you're actually pretty good at this.
Yeah.
And it's the only time I feel like my confidence is at its highest. And I'm not, it might seem on the surface, or if you go on my social media and stuff like that, I'm the most confident person in the world. I'm also probably the most anxious person in the world. And I get really unconfident, but I'll just wing it and it works. And it's just like, sometimes you have to put a bit of an act on and stuff like that. But at the moment, like this year, my confidence is definitely at its highest, 100%.
No, that's great. Now, coaching, I want to really get into this because, you produce fantastic results. But I want to start this off by saying, what is mastery? What does it mean to you, the word mastery?
Perfecting your craft that you have. Terrible use of a word, but mastering it.
Yeah.
And just being super confident in every single decision that you will make to do with your work. Because I know now, like, especially when I started, and I see it in up and coming coaches now, is being scared to kind of like pull the trigger on a decision. I literally go with the first thing that comes to my head now, and I trust that decision. I don't think about it. That's just doing it. And I feel like that's like a part of mastery, of just being like, That's the first thing that's come to my head in the situation that I'm in. That's what I'm going to roll with.
Mm-hmm. And service, something that I haven't covered a lot with some of the coaches that I've interviewed on the podcast, because we've gone off on different directions. But from speaking to various different people, service for you is important. And I truly do believe, and I'm really interested to hear your thoughts on this, that it's a part of coaching, especially in the business coaching world, that's like, how many sales can you make? How much money can you make? The retention aspect of a customer. It takes too long to teach a coach that doesn't have high standards how to implement that in their business, which takes away from getting new clients. On the flip side, it's the thing that's built my reputation. So for you, how important is service, and what are some of the key aspects of your service that are non-negotiables for you?
Okay. Well, I rate service at the top, and like 100%, because I can have all the clients in the world, but if I can't fucking keep them, what is the point? Mm-hmm. It's not business. You know, I've had consults with people before that are gaining 50 clients a month and losing 50. Well, the reason why you're losing 50 is you're not servicing those clients. Mm-hmm. So for me, it's top of the tree. And I think since being on like loads of podcasts this year, it's made me really think, because my excuse for not thinking about things is I'm too busy to think at the moment, like how I've ended up here, what's happened this year, and all this sort of stuff. And I always think, like, why is the service thing so important to me? Or why am I good at the service aspect? And it's because every single job I've ever done is service based. So if you're running a bar and you've got 5 deep at the bar and the queue's not going down, the service isn't good enough.
Yeah.
So how can I improve that? I don't want people to wait, because I know what I'm like when I'm somewhere. I don't like waiting for things. So I want that to be at the forefront. All right, if someone's checked in, I don't want them waiting till tomorrow, because that's not good enough. Simple. So, and again, with selling cars, if someone's coming in to pick their car up at 3 p.m. on Saturday, it needs to be ready at 3 p.m. on Saturday. So the service needs to be there. Mm-hmm. Else I'm not going to get the after sales report, which gets me 100 quid or whatever it is. So in terms of like non-negotiables for me, I will never go to bed and there's a notification on my phone. I don't care if it's fucking midnight that I'm doing it. Mm-hmm. There is no notifications left on my phone when I go to bed. Okay. And if it's past working hours, it's past fucking working hours. You should have done it in working hours. Check-ins are, I always say same day response. It's same morning response. Okay. I block out my entire morning. I start at 6 and I don't stop the check-ins until they're finished. It's an average of 25 to 30 a day, Monday to Friday. And they have to be done before I go to the gym. Else I don't go to the gym, because I can understand that. Look, I ain't going to turn IFBB pro ever in my life. And I'm absolutely fine with that. Mm-hmm. And my customers, my clients, their goals are more important than mine right now. So they come first. I'm not going to the gym to do my shit until their shit is done. Mm-hmm. And because I've been doing it for 6 years, my productivity is shit hot. So I can do 25 to 30 check-ins with my fucking eyes shut, because I've done 25 to 30 a day for 2 years running. You know, it's like riding a bike. The more you do it, the better you get at it, and the more efficient, and the better ways of doing things, and the better service programs and stuff like that. But yeah, those are my non-negotiables. People don't wait at all. If it's an inquiry, if it's a check-in, whatever, it gets handled there and then. Simple as that. Coaches
place their training as number one, and very often coaches and clients, or their clients, therefore, as number two. As you've just said there, the non-negotiable is the training either gets moved to give you another hour, but the clients must get serviced.
Yeah.
When it comes to the actual service aspect for the clients, what we notice is coaches that, I always call it the first 28-day window. If I go to a 5-star hotel, the service that you get given for the first 24 hours to make sure you've got everything that you need is always impeccable. And I always spread that out for our coaching business, that the first 28 days is incredibly important. Do you put a, obviously every client gets high level of service, but in that first period of coaching somebody, do you have a non-negotiable result that person must achieve in a shorter period of time, or some degree of non-negotiables that you place on the business or your team that your clients have to hit to ensure that they see the value in the service straight off the bat?
Technically, I don't. But currently, the normal inquiry level at the moment is competitors. Right. And okay. they need to know what they're fucking doing from the minute they fucking start.
Yeah.
So there's a timeline in place. Right, here's the first 4 weeks. This is what I want to see happen.
Yeah.
Please go and do that. But that what you said there with the first 28 days, I like that, because I always get the same response when I respond to an inquiry. They'll say, fucking hell, that was fast. And you've just given me everything I'd ever need to know. Can I sign up? Yeah, cool. And I'll always say to them, look, I know I've got back to you really quick here. Please know that don't stop. As long as you're checking in on the time you're meant to be checking in, on the day you're meant to be checking in, that ain't going to stop. So please know that. But what that also does is that puts a massive amount of pressure on me to not drop the fucking ball. So I'm not going to drop the ball. Because look, I know every single coach in this industry, and I've worked with every client from every single type of coach. And you hear stories about everyone. And the first thing that normally goes when someone gets busy is service. I am petrified of not having the level of service that I have. So I don't let it slip.
And as a coach, I think what's interesting, you have worked in service industries. I worked in corporate in the early days in property, and I saw that, and I made it an effort in the early days as being a coach to actually visit 5-star organizations, travel, fly well, going, first class on trains, to see and feel and experience what the top end of the market gives to people and what customer service really, really should be. And I suppose what you're saying is that coaches come in with this promise and then the expectations dip. So from a retention perspective, what would you say that a lot of coaches are missing out on from beyond that 28 days into the first 3 months, 6 months, that gives you that ability to keep clients for a longer term?
Literally just the basics. Replying to fucking someone. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, some of the things I hear, it's like, I ask a question that's probably going to take 30 seconds to answer, and it's 2 days. I'm like, I don't get that, because it takes 20 seconds to do it. Everyone's got 20 seconds. And then it's like quality of responses goes downhill. Instead of them getting a voice note, they're getting a thumbs up. When people sign up with you and give you their money, they want to work with you. I want them to hear my fucking voice and hear my excitement and see my excitement on check-ins. And or stuff like, it's been a couple of months now and I'm away this week, so I'm just going to do voice note response. Okay, well, that's not what they're paying for, is it? Do you know what I mean? And it's just, it becomes lazy, in my opinion. It's like, oh, well, I've got better quality of clients now. Look, I look after IFBB pros, okay? And I also have IFBB pros girlfriend or boyfriend who's just Gen Pop. Do you think that one of them gets a better service than the other? Mm-hmm. If a perfect example, I've got Kamara Graham, who's IFBB pro, and I was coaching her partner who just wants to get jacked. That's it. If they both check in on Monday. If he checks in before her, he gets the response first because he checked in before. But I know with certain coaches who have got couples working together, and one of them's getting the same day response, the other's getting 4 days. Use your brain. They live together. Mm-hmm. They're probably going to know when they've got a fucking check-in. It's just, your service should be the same for Jane down the road who just wants to lose a bit of weight versus a top-tier athlete, in my opinion anyway.
Absolutely perfectly moving me into the thing I wanted to discuss, which was the vast array of clients. Now, even when I was working with competitors and physique athletes, I had business people that I was working with. I had mums that I was working with. And there's a lot of coaches that seem to take their eye off the ball of the people that they don't see going for a photo shoot, don't see as having a set of abs. And I interviewed Olivia Otoski this week from who basically was talking about female health and talking about the importance of Gen Pop and how we can get Gen Pop to train harder. We can teach them to improve. But my question to you is, from a coaching perspective, how do you see that difference and that divide between your IFBB pros and your Gen Pop? Because they're paying customers. But a lot of coaches, as soon as they start to get that more physique kind of client, start to see these people as lesser, even though they're paying them.
Yeah. And this is the thing, like, look, sex sells, and big jacked people to us is sexier.
Yeah.
And I get that. But at the same time, for me, okay, let's say, and I don't want to disrespect any of my clients right now, a plastic trophy from PCA, it is great. And it's a great achievement. You got through the prep and all that sort of stuff. But I had a client start with me who weighed 400 pounds. And in the space of 2 years, I got him down to 220 pounds. That's way more for fucking fulfilling than any fucking win at a show. Because the win at a show lasts for half an hour, you're all buzzing, sweet, and it's on to the next thing. If you save someone's life through weight loss, that's forever. Do you know what I mean? And I don't work with him anymore, but I see him all the time at shows. And it's just like, he put me on the fucking map. Mm-hmm. Because I still have a shitload of Gen Pop clients and I fucking love working with them because it's something different.
Yeah.
And, I don't like those clients being robotic. I don't want them to be. I want them to figure out, fuck, I can go out for food and eat what I want and not be fat. This is great. Like that for me, that's such more of an achievement than like bodybuilding. Now I love bodybuilding and I love putting people on stage and I love both, but Gen Pop clients can be more fulfilling.
How do you get the most out of a Gen Pop client? And I say this to younger coaches that are actually saying, oh, I can't get young Gen Pop clients to stick to the plan, so I'm going to try and work with more physique clients. You know, how do you get the most out of a Gen Pop client who at first you might think is not really that committed? But it's down to you.
Yeah, a good example of that is the guy that was £400.
Yeah,
because I'd known him from Instagram for a long time, just through cars and stuff, and I'd seen him do every kind of fucking diet you can fucking imagine, Slimming World, Atkins, whatever, carnivore, whatever the diet, he's done it. And I'd see the weight come off, and then I'd see double go back on. And when he inquired me, I actually said no at the start because I was just like, bro, I see you fail all the time, and like you just put it back on, and you know, I don't know if you're going to take it serious, blah blah blah. He's like, no, I want to do it, and I feel like the way that happened is by building a relationship with him. And if we have a good relationship, he's going to want to work hard for me, not just for himself, okay? Because he wants to impress me.
Mm-hmm.
And every week, if he's turning up and I'm giving him motivation to keep fucking going, he's going to keep going because he's got pressure on him, not just of himself, but he's got a second person now that he's relying on, or I'm relying on him and getting a result. And I think building that rapport and building, I happily admit that I build a lot of friendships with clients. And some people might think that's bad business. I don't give a shit because they're still paying clients.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it works. And I am just a personable guy. I like getting on with people. I like having a laugh with people. And I think a lot of young coaches are scared to like actually talk to them like a fucking human. Because when someone's slipping up, there is a reason why they can't stick to it. Find out the fucking reason. And the only way you're going to find out is by asking them pretty bluntly, what do you think it is that's stopping you? And if you have a good rapport with someone, a good relationship, they will fucking tell you everything. Because I've had some clients tell me stuff that I just think, man, that's deep to open up to. And I know a lot of coaches will say, you shouldn't have to listen to that. You're not a therapist and all that shit. I completely get, I am not a therapist. But if they've spoke to me about something and they feel better from speaking about it, and then I respond, and that also in turn makes them feel better, do you think they're going to have a better week that week? Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm. So I am doing my job because I'm getting a better result.
Oh, and also, if a friend comes around to your house and you've had a split up, and you sit and listen to them and just give them your perspective of what they've said without any clinical diagnosis, and it helps them, essentially as friends and colleagues, we're all therapists to a degree because talking is therapy. And if your clients are coming to you without a clinical diagnosis for depression or something, and they just need 6 years worth of coaching experience to give them a slightly different perspective on something, and it allows them to lose 400 pounds or whatever it is, you know, what was the weight he lost?
He started at 400 and ended at 220.
Started at 400. Jeez, he didn't lose 400. It'd be a speck of dust. Let's make sure that we're not putting people in boxes.
Yeah.
But this is it. What you've just said here is that, you know, a lot of the times coaches hold back because we're not allowed to say something, but we're not diagnosing a problem. We have to be skilled communicators, right? As coaches, we have to be skilled. It's a service-based industry. You know, if there is a serious clinical issue, then we've got to refer out. Yeah. But having a genuine conversation and saying, what is the issue? You know, I do think that this is a skill that's missed because a lot of coaches come into the online space, Christian, without doing any work, any jobs. You know, maybe they've got a following from whatever and they've had no interaction with people. They haven't really found out who they are yet. And the issue with getting the result is less to do with the program and the nutrition you're giving them, but more, I hear you saying, the relationship.
Yeah. And I think so many coaches these days are like, oh, but boundaries and all this shit. Fuck your boundaries, man. Like especially at the start.
Yeah.
Like I worked 7 days a week at the start. I don't work Sundays anymore, unless I'm at shows, which at the moment is every fucking week. But I know that's just part of the year and that's fine. But at the start, it was like, I said to my dad when I left my job, I was like, mate, these next 2 or 3 years are going to have to be savage and I'm just going to have to go for it. But so many people are like, oh, you can't work past 6. Why can't you? Because if you're trying to make a business work, you've got to fucking do anything you can. Mm-hmm. Now I can put boundaries in place, but if I'd done it at the start, I wouldn't be here now.
So let's delve into that then, because I think this is just another thing. You keep opening up can of worms here, and we delve into them. But the graft mindset, You know, I know a lot of coaches in the fitness industry, and still today, the more we grow, the more I've got to do, but different departments. And I'm not doing a lot of what I did before, but I'm still doing a lot of what I'm now required to do. But that 7-day mindset, whether it's online, whether it's going to shows, I mean, you love what you do.
Yeah.
You know, that mindset that, you know, I can't do too much. I've got to clock off. I'm tired. What's your thoughts on burnout? That it's used a lot, Christian. It's used a lot. I get tired. I don't get burnt out to the point where I don't enjoy what I do. I love what I do. I have to get told to stop doing as much of it. Yeah. Still at the age of 46, like, honestly, I'm like, I love it. I just want to keep doing it, but I listen to my body. What's your thoughts on this? I think there's a cultural new in the last few years. It's like, I've got to be careful of burnout. What's your take on that?
I'm laughing because that is what it's like. If we refer it back to like being in the gym, I'm too fatigued. I need fatigue management. It's the same fucking thing, and it's literally only because people are talking about it. Now, I like when people say they're burning out, because I like, mate, come and do my job for a week. Come and look after this amount of client load. Tell me when you're burnt out, bro, because you're gonna last 2 days. Mm-hmm. But I fucking love this job. Mm-hmm. I don't even class it as a job. It's just this is what I do, and I love doing it. Granted, I do get burnt. I have been burnt out many a time, but it lasts 2 days, and I'm back to it.
And how do you describe burnout? Like, what's the feeling that you get? Just tired, you haven't respected your body enough, or burnt out that you are not happy, Christian?
Yes. Completely the latter. But my ADHD is pretty savage. Okay. And when I'm high, I'm fucking so high. If I'm low, I am low. Yeah, okay. Yeah. If I get into that, but to be honest, a lot of the low things comes from like external things that have nothing to do with work. It's normally my personal life. Yeah. I always, in the past like couple of months, I've said business, great. Personal life, dog shit. Because I haven't had time to actually keep on top of it, which is, you know, that's a decision that I made. And now that, you know, certain things have happened in my life in the last like month, I'm happy. And funny enough, my work's got a lot better. Yeah. I don't like the fact that I am heavily influenced. Like, my mood is heavily influenced by what is around me. Yeah. And if I've got negative shit around me, I'm fucking negative. And I hate that about myself. I don't like it. But it just makes me keep on top of, I need to keep positive things in my life, because if there's positive things around me, I'm really positive. But because the workload is so high, and I do put pressure on myself that I need to be done by a certain time, because I want to beat my PB of fucking getting through however many check-ins or whatever. Or, you know, I've got a new level of like a new amount of clients at the moment or whatever. Like, that, I think it's the pressure build. It's not actually the work, it's the pressure that I put myself to get the work done that causes me to sometimes feel a little bit burnt out, like, oh, fuck me, I don't even want to get out of bed today. I think with how my business works, when I wake up, I've got 100 WhatsApps. I fucking shit myself when I say that. I'm like, right, start work. I don't have a morning routine. My morning routine is put your clothes on and start fucking working. Mm-hmm. Simple. Because if I don't, I ain't getting it done. Yeah. You know,
and you talked about this a second ago, which I find fascinating. Do you find that it's very quick for coaches to blame their job as the reason for burnout, when potentially it's the fact that they're unhappy elsewhere that's actually causing? I call it the coffee cup. The coffee cup for me is, you've got this much energy in the day, which is like a full cup of coffee. If you wake up in the morning and there's not a lot of external emotional stress, you've got a lot of energy to hit your day with business. But if you wake up with a lot of emotional stress, relationship, partner, life, whatever, you've not got as much to give to the day. And if the thing is that you love is business, you almost pull away from business first and allow all the shit that's going on in your life. Do you feel that, you know, to be able to drive the business forward, we've also got to have a lot of stability on the external emotional side of more social?
100%. Because with the job, I technically do the same thing every day. Yeah. But when I actually stop and think about what I'm doing and how because to me, I'm just talking at a screen. That's all I'm doing, really. Mm-hmm. To the person on the receiving end of it, it's like, man, that's really helped me. Yeah. Or, yeah, man, I feel fucking buzzing for this week. Or, yeah, I know I've had a shit week, but you've really picked me up there. That's so fulfilling. That how could that not make me happy? Because I'm making people happier potentially, and I thrive on that. I'm a bit of a people pleaser. I want to make people happy. I like people to like me, and that's what keeps me going. But if everything else around me is fucking crumbling, that weighs on me a lot.
It gets in the way of business. Your results, Christian. You know, I look. You know, look at your account and there's like, there's not many 2 to 3 days that go by and there's not a result. Now, I know on this podcast, there's coaches that are starting, coaches that are wanting to get somewhere, and also coaches are watching people like yourself and going, wow, this is what I want to achieve. I want to hit the kind of starting and middle coach right now. I know what it was like to get that result that literally made me go, holy crap, how did I help that person achieve that? But I know you started in the industry without those results. So it's a long old journey that you've been through, but what are some of the things that you have in the forefront of your brain that's allowed you to progress your clients to the level that you have to get that first result that you went, right, I'm going to put that one out and people are going to go, wow. That distance between the gem pop, weight loss that you're like, oof, am I ready to share that? And then this transition to this, right, that's what I want to be known for. Coaches are struggling to get there, don't want that, right? What have you done? Or consciously, I always say, the result is the intention of the coach. If you want it, you'll go after it. Yep. If you don't want it, you won't. What do you do, and what got you to the point where you said, these are the results that I want to be known for?
Yeah. So I think if someone's starting out and they haven't got a result, you can get a result from yourself. So put that out there. And because at the start, all I was doing was putting myself out there.
Great advice.
Because it's like, I proved that I can do the do. And the first blow up of my coaching business was me doing a photo shoot during lockdown. And at the time, yes, I probably had 25 to 30 clients. I wasn't sharing probably 3/4 of them.
Yeah.
And I was just doing me every day. And I got absolutely inside out for a photo shoot during lockdown, which was absolutely pointless technically, but from a business standpoint, it was fucking hell. He can do that.
Yeah.
The following year competed. Again, it's proven that you can do something. If I'm going to put competitors on stage, I need to have done it myself, in my opinion. Okay. Because you need to feel what they're going to feel. But there was one pivotal transformation, and it was actually my best mate. I was at his wedding last year, and it was getting him shaped for a holiday. He's natural, great. I'm talking god tier genetics. Like he's beautiful to look at. He's a jammy bastard. But he came to me on 700 calories and was doing 10Ks every other day and not losing weight. So it was the first one I really had to think like, right, what the fuck do you do here? And just started feeding him. And he dropped like 40 pounds and he turned into like what looked like a Greek god. And when I put that out there, people were like, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
And I think if you're starting out, be seen to be trying to learn things.
Yeah.
When I got into this, I had no idea about the money side of thing. I hadn't got a clue. And I think people that are getting into it these days are seeing the likes of me, whatever top tier coaches and stuff. And like, I want that.
Yep.
Okay. Well, when I started, I sold both my cars that I had at the time because I left my job and I was so scared that it wasn't going to work, that I needed money behind me. And I bought a $2,000 Audi A3 to get me about. Mm-hmm. Okay. But now all people are thinking of, right, what can I do to look flashy on Instagram that makes me look like I'm a good coach?
Or get whatever other people have got without doing the work that actually they've worked themselves up to achieve.
No one knows what I did at the start to get to here. Yeah. Like no one does. And probably people wouldn't be willing to do it either, And I also thought that I probably wouldn't be, because in any other job that I've done in my life, I've always thought, maybe I don't put that much effort in. I'm sometimes a bit lazy and stuff like that. It's because I wasn't doing the thing that I actually wanted to do. Yeah. Now, the last word I describe myself is lazy. I work beyond hard. And I think, I had a really good point to say then. It's fucked off now, my head. I think, look, people focus on like, I've got to do that 10 grand a month and all that shit. I think the problem with this coaching industry is 10, 20, 30 grand months is apparently normal. I can tell you now, anyone that's listening to this, earning 30 grand a month is not classed as fucking normal. Mm-hmm. But because it's being preached about all the time, I've got to get to that. Now, I have young guys that will jump on a business consult with me and I'll say, right, how many clients have you got? How much are you charging? And let's say they're charging 150 quid a month and they've got 30 clients. Okay, that's $4.5 grand a month. I'm like, bro, you're 21 years old and you're earning $4.5 grand a month. What the fuck? What is wrong with you? Like, what are you worried about?
Yeah.
And it gets to the point of like, no, I've got to do this 10 grand elusive. Well, you're getting paid more than a fucking surgeon and you're telling people to eat cereal for post-workout. get over it. I know I've gone off on a tangent here, but
no. It's important, because I think where we started this part of the conversation off was what are these younger coaches need to do to get the level of result where you are. And I think what we're summing this up with is stop focusing on the 10 to 20K months and get back to doing the thing that everybody does, which is getting great results.
Just work hard.
Yeah.
And the byproduct of working hard a lot of the time is money.
Yeah.
I can remember Cal Raystrick. He was one of the people that was trying to force me to leave my job at the time, because I class Cal as a really close mate. And we talked about it. And one thing that stuck in my head that he said to me, and it was just before I left my job, he was like, bro, online coaches make 10 grand in their fucking sleep. And I was like, what? I couldn't believe it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're having months that are 3 times that, and you think, what the fuck is going on? Because I still don't know what's going on, mate. Yeah. But I haven't had time to process it or think about it. I'm just like, well, I just wake up and work.
I think there's a lot of coaches in the fitness industry now, and we have to be honest. If you are good as a coach, you can make a lot of money.
You can earn a fuck ton of money.
Yeah. And I think one thing that we are having to deal with a little bit more is, imagine coming out of, I've got a 22-year-old doing similar to the figures that you were talking about at the moment. And we are having to work on our emotional stability. 12 months out of university on 25K a month. And the student loan, which takes 5 years for most people to pay back, they go, yeah, I'll just pay it tomorrow. And that degree of change is hard, because I think that, go back to when I was coaching in the early days, I wasn't listening to people earning a lot of money. But you've risen the ranks and you're earning a lot of. How have you handled the growth in revenue with the speed? I mean, look, if you said 6 years, you'd be doing what you're doing with the amount of clients you're doing, loving what you're doing, and having the opportunities that you have. How have you handled that?
Yeah. I don't think I've ever done really a podcast where I talk about money, because I don't ever want to come across as like being a prick.
Well,
but
people perceive talking about money to be a prick. And do you know what? I'm that guy in the fitness industry who I spent a long time not wanting to talk about it, because I didn't want to be classed as the 7-figure business coach.
Yeah.
And I'm not a 7-figure business coach. I'm a coach that's done very well out of helping a lot of people, and you have us as well. And I think let's open up the topic if you're open to, if you're happy to talk about it.
I am, but I will caveat it. I'm not a prick. All right, I've just worked really hard, and
Isn't it funny, Christian, that we have to almost apologize?
Yeah.
Like what you've just done there. Hey, I just need to tell you, I'm going to talk about money now, but I'm not this. But you know what? One of the downsides of me and you not talking about money is that only coaches listen to people that haven't got the integrity to do with coaching, and they get lost. And that's where I think that a real honest conversation about it is important for us to have.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned like the speed of growth. That's what scared me the most. Because if I actually think about it now, I left my job 3.5 years ago, my full-time job.
Yeah. And
like I said, I sold both my cars and I bought a $2,000 Audi. Well, I can look outside now and see 350 grand's worth of cars, and it's mine. Mm-hmm. Now that scares the shit out of me still, because saying it makes me feel sick, to be honest. And I'm buying a house at the moment and going through that, and it's on my own. And that also scares the shit out of me, because I still feel like someone's going to come through the door and say, look, mate, your time's up. That imposter syndrome is real, big time. And I do think imposter syndrome is a good thing to have, because I don't want to have it. So it makes me work harder to not have it.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. But in terms of how I've handled it, I'm very grateful that my dad has been with me every step of the way, because my dad's majority of his life has never worked for anyone. He's always worked for himself. He's done okay. He will always say to me, because he does my accounts, because I ain't got a fucking clue. He'll do my accounts. And he's like, Chris, I know I did all right, but I've never done anything like this. And I love it, because the only person I've ever want to make proud of this is my dad. Okay. Don't care about fucking Instagram. Couldn't care less. And he's the one that's kept me in line. Those first 2 years, I didn't spend money, because I wanted to build up an account that's like, right, I don't need to fucking worry now. And now's the time, right, you can go and buy 120 grand electric car to put through the business. Yeah. Stuff like that. And he's kept me really fucking grounded, because he sees what I spend. And I remember him pulling me up once, and he was like, you're becoming a lot more blasé with money. And that is an issue, because it's there. And I don't have to wait for payday to buy something because every day is payday.
Yes.
And it becomes normal to do certain things. And like I said at the start, I am quite a cautious person. And I know sometimes it doesn't fucking look like it, but I could be with the earnings, I could be going out being an absolute fucking idiot with it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not, because I'm so scared to lose it. And I think that's what's kept me kind of in line of just being, check myself. Look, you don't need to go and buy that, you fucking idiot. You don't need to do that. Yeah. And I know the cars thing might seem extravagant, but again, like I said at the start, I built a following from cars, and that's because I fucking love cars.
Yeah.
And it's my main interest since I was a kid.
What do you say? A lot of the wealth and advice, people look at depreciables and, cars losing money off the forecourt or leasing. I mean, you've been in cars. You now spend a lot of money on cars. I mean, look, we've got coaches listening to this podcast that are making a lot of money that want to get a car. What have you learned about buying and investing cars that you could share with other people? Because I like cars. You've been involved in them for a long time, and what's your advice to somebody that wants to get a really nice car?
Unfortunately, 99% of cars depreciate.
Yeah.
So it's definitely not a great place to put money, 100%.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I have to have something, because
your reward.
This can become a very sad existence, because I sit in my fucking apartment all day and talk to a screen on my own. I need something that takes me out of it. Granted, at the start, you don't need a McLaren. I promise you don't need it, because it doesn't make you happier. I promise you.
Yeah.
Okay. But it's also a fucking hell every time I get in it. It's like, man, you've done fucking sick here.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're looking for a good investment, don't buy cars, would be my advice.
But those first 2 years that you saved up a lot of money, and there's a lot of coaches that are starting to earn more money, and as soon as they get it, they need to show social media, they need to spend it, and they need to, no one actually cares what we have apart
Literally
from ourselves.
Right. Literally just about to say, no one gives a shit what I drive.
Yeah.
No one.
Yeah.
And trust me, it doesn't impress the women like you think it might.
Yeah.
I promise you.
But I think this is important though, because, in the fitness industry, the education and knowledge around money and not spending it, and actually, I heard somebody say the other day, that one of the hardest things to do with money is actually not show people, because that's what will make you rich, because if you do stuff with it, like investing it and doing stuff with it doesn't make anybody doesn't make you feel any better. In fact, it's harder to put it into something that's anyone's going to give you any credit for. But in those early 2 days, 2 years, you saved a lot, and you held yourself together without spending all that. Coaches that are just throwing it away, going and buying clothes, showing off what kept you from spending it?
Fear.
Right.
And I don't like how it's perceived either, because I know we said about I've got to hold my hands up when I talk about money. I'll give an example, and this might offend a few people, but that's fine. When COVID was going on, and the amount of coaches that moved to Dubai in that time, I didn't think that looked good for business, in my opinion. I could have gone out there, had many invites to go out there, stay with people and that sort of stuff. And I was like, you know what, no, I'm just going to focus on business here. And the amount of clients that I had come from coaches that had moved to Dubai put me off that.
I heard this, Christian. I heard this.
And I don't I genuinely think it's just the way that, look, I know you spend a lot of time in Dubai, okay? Yeah. And I just think sometimes it's the way that people perceive Dubai. Because if I went to live in Gran Canaria, I don't think anyone would have a fucking problem with it. But it's because Dubai is seen as wealth, expense. And that brings us back to people are scared to talk about it, or you've got to hold your hands up and stuff like that. Mate, you can live wherever the fuck you want. Mm-hmm. But I was always just scared of being perceived as I don't want to buy stupid expensive things, because my clients are going to look at that and think I'm fucking paying for that stupid shit is buying there. But I think because of the relationship I build with clients, and because I put a lot of my life on social media, people don't actually think I'm an arsehole, because I am actually not an arsehole. I'm just someone that's fell onto something that he really likes doing and has done well at it, and that's it.
And the people that matter, they don't mind. And the people that mind, who gives a shit?
Yeah, fuck them. I don't care. I used to really care what people think about me. And I still do to some extent, because, again, you need people to think good of you if you want a good business. If the business is me, I am the business. So I do need people to like me, for sure. But if someone doesn't like me, I could not give a fuck.
Love that. So what if now you're in the position you are right now? You obviously have and do reward yourself. I've got two questions. What's your relationship now with reward? Christian, you've done well.
I don't know how to answer that. My biggest reward for me is being able to help people that have helped me and be able to do things that, like, I don't want to say not a lot of people can do, but, like, you know, I recently had a close friend reach out to borrow, not for a long time, we're talking a couple of weeks, but a substantial amount of money. I didn't even ask him what it was for. And being able to help out best mates, because I know I trust them, and being able to do things that not a lot of people can do and help a lot of people and stuff like that. Like, for me, the most rewarding thing is going to the shop every day and seeing the same homeless people and buying everyone a meal. That makes me happier than any car that I'm going to drive, because that actually makes a difference. And
your own personal vision, is this something that is important to you in terms of thinking what you're trying to build? Or are you someone that's just very content with what you're doing today and growing bit by bit? What's your relationship with vision planning to what you're trying to achieve?
So I've always answered this in the same way, but I think it's changed a bit. I've always answered it like, I haven't got a clue what I'm working towards. I just want to just keep going. Okay. And I said it I was on a podcast with that Simon Callu. And an easy way of measuring progress in your business with something like this is, did you earn more money than last month? That's quite an easy way to do it. Now, I used to think I was really motivated by money. Now I've got it. I don't care. I'm motivated more by progress, and I've made a lot of changes to the business this year. You know, took on my first couple of coaches in one hit. You know, I've got someone that helps me with all my personal life and all that sort of stuff. And that was the best investment. And to be honest, I still don't have like a massive like vision towards it. My biggest vision is help as many people as I possibly can. And that's it. Like, I've always been, I've got on my fucking knuckles, never settle, because I don't like just staying in one place. It's like, right, I need progress, because it's like fucking dopamine hit every day. And with what I'm currently doing, it's progressing every day. So I just need to keep doing that.
And what questions are you asking yourself to ensure that progress is being met? Because I actually put a post out, I recorded some reels today with my video editor, and I was just saying, you know, as human beings, we crave progress. So, and I know that when I'm stagnant, I'm not happy. When I'm growing, I'm happier. And for you, when you talk about progress, are there certain things you're asking yourself at the beginning of the month or the beginning of the week, or measures? You said money is one of them, and you said progress is another. Is it just, look, I need to sign up 5 clients every single week? If you were to share with anybody how you kind of set the weekly goals or monthly goals that you have to hit, or are you just saying, look, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing because it's keep coming in and I'm just going to let it keep coming in? Is there anything measurable that you're using like you do with your physique coaching?
You know what? No, I don't. Because, like you said, everything's working at the moment. So I need to keep doing that. And I don't like saying this because it makes you sound cocky or whatever, but everything I seem to be doing at the moment turns good. You know, I started doing more YouTube. It's going really well. I started a podcast. That's going really well. I've ventured out of Physique Collective when coached by Christian. That's gone really well. I've took on coaches. That's gone really well. I just need to keep doing things that are going well.
With this, Christian, it brings me to a really, really massive question that a lot of coaches they struggle with. You seem really content with what you're doing right now. And I respect that immensely, because I know what I want to achieve in my life, but I'm really proud of what I'm doing today. And I'm happy with what I've got today. To coaches who just honestly, and you'll see this, they're earning great money, or they've got clients coming through the doors, and they're just not happy. And they're not happy because they've got this number, or they've got this goal that somebody else has achieved. I'll never be happy till I've got this, or I'll never be happy till I've got that. And it ruins them.
Yep.
I see so much unhappiness because they're not happy with today.
Yeah. And if they've set a target to something, I can guarantee you when they get that target, they still ain't going to be happy.
Yeah.
Because I remember this year when I bought that McLaren, within the first week of buying it, I was looking at what's next.
Really?
Not because I was bored,
yeah,
but I'm constantly thinking of what's next? How can I succeed next? I think what people need to concentrate more on instead of the figures, and what they want to achieve and personal goal, all that sort of stuff. It's great to have, but if you're not happy, it's not great. Okay, is just be fucking good at what you do and enjoy it whilst you're doing it. Because I think I spent a lot of the time doing this. I didn't focus on anything else. It was just like, I've just got to do this. I've got to do it better. I've got to do this. Instead of just like, now I go to shows for my clients. Like I'm in London on Saturday. I'm in fucking Hull on Sunday.
Oh yeah.
But I know I'm going to get to see a load of my mates because it's the same people at shows every single week and it's the same coach that shows every week. I see my clients on stage. I know I'm going to have a really fucking good day. That's a blessing. Mm-hmm. What the fucking else thing am I going to do on a Saturday anyway? Mm-hmm. Sitting here on my own. Fuck, do you know what I mean? It's like, actually just enjoy what you're doing. And funny, when you enjoy something more, you're probably going to work harder at it. And when you work harder at it, you're probably going to see the result that you've been trying to get. Do
you think that people, therefore, based on what you've just said, do you think we have a lot of people in the fitness industry who want to make money and have Instagram fame, but they don't love coaching?
Correct. Mm. And if you don't love coaching, it's displayed in your actual work.
It is. Because you just don't see it moving forward. You know, and you and I see this on the daily. You know, I look at somebody and I say, your clients aren't progressing because you're not putting any work in. Your clients aren't progressing because you're not in shape and you can't really inspire them to get ahead. Yeah, but I want to make another 5K a month, or I want to get more leads. And there's I think there's just this gap whereby I think a lot of people see what you can earn. So they, you know, I last year I had 2 stockbrokers that messaged me and said, mate, it started like this. Mate, we see that there's a great opportunity. Wonder whether you can mentor us so that we can set up an online coaching business. I said, not on your Nelly, my friend. Go and sign up with somebody else. Because, you know, we're seeing a lot of this. We're seeing this, you know. So I think that's become very evident in kind of what you've just said, that you know, we've got to come back to doing what we love, delay gratification. And when you are a great coach, ultimately everything that you want out of coaching will come.
Yeah.
To any coach out there right now, I know I've just said what I've just said, but from your perspective, what are you seeing at the moment that concerns you about the fitness industry? And what would be your advice to coaches who are listening right now?
People that just clearly aren't being themselves and they're just doing what someone above them is doing. Or like, look, I'm big on, I'm just myself and I don't have a social media strategy. My social media strategy is post whatever the fuck I want to post that day. And the caption is whatever the fuck I want to say. But certain people are looking around at what they're seeing. I've got to talk about that. How about you just talk about what you want to talk about? Mm. And I notice this a lot with my own social media is I get the most reaction when I talk to the camera, because normally when I talk to the camera, I'm having a rant about something. Okay. Or I'm fucking saying about something that happened in the day and stuff like that. And that's absolutely fuck all to do with coaching. That's just me being me. Mm-hmm. If you want to be a good coach and stuff like that, like, firstly, do yourself. Okay. Go and get in shape. Work. Like, if you want to be a really good coach and you look up to a certain coach, go and work with them and see what they do. Mm-hmm. Because I'd say over 60% of my clients are coaches themselves. And I will happily tell them, copy everything I fucking do. I don't care. Copy it, because you're not Christian Chapman. It doesn't matter if you copy it word for word.
Brilliant advice.
Just put your own personality on it, because I believe what I'm doing with coaching is probably I don't want to say the best way of doing things. It's what I feel is the right way of doing things. Mm-hmm. Okay. So do that. And that means you'll be a good coach. Have the response times like I do. Have your Google set of sheets like how it is, whatever. Just put your own personality on it, because you can't be me. No one is. No one can. And just like I can't be you, but you're going to appeal to someone. I can always think of a guy that I coached, and he's just a normal guy. Some would say boring, potentially. And he's got fuckloads of clients. And guess what those clients are? They're quite boring as well.
Yeah. Fiber attracts the tribe, right?
Literally just about, you stole that out of my mouth.
Yeah. No, you keep saying this today. And I think the biggest takeaway for me, Christian, today is just be your fucking self.
Yeah, unapologetically be you.
I don't know whether the thumbnail will work at that, because I interviewed Olivia Ochoski last week, and she is a female health coach, and she started as a physique coach. And she actually said to me at the end of the podcast, her bio in her Instagram used to be, I help the people that you fuck up, because she dealt with a lot of coaches that fuck people up. And I said, I can't put that one on the thumbnail. And now we got yours. So maybe if I'm being me, I should just put that on the thumbnail.
Bro, it'll probably get more hits.
It will. Christian, honestly, it's been an absolute pleasure. I'd love everybody listening to this to find out your Instagram, where they can find you. I'm very grateful for your time today.
I appreciate it, mate. I'm grateful for yours. Instagram, Coached by Christian, all one word, no spaces, no numbers, nothing. I am the OG Coached by Christian.
It's not for sale.
Correct.
Christian, honestly, I can't thank you enough. It's been an incredibly insightful and I know incredibly valuable episode for everybody listening, whether you're at the beginning end of your, beginning, middle, or end of your career, or not end of your career, or later on into your career. Christian, thank you.